Steve is in here with another delivery. This is a Hino service truck that I bought a week, 10 days ago, and he picked this up down in Tennessee here, what was it, Wednesday afternoon. Loaded some other goods on, and you've been all over New York State here with a couple of deliveries, right?
Had a dually bed up front and a John Deere tractor in the back, keeping this one company.
Yeah, there you go. So we'll get this offloaded here and do a little walk around of it once we get it offloaded. Crane body, we've just got to put the welder on there from the Army truck here at some point, so it's got an automatic transmission. And that's how that's done. All right, we'll get his ramps picked up here and get him sent on his way. Alright, so it has been about a week or 10 days since we've taken delivery of this truck, and we haven't done too much with it other than I have bought a pile of tools. We were going to take the tools out of the Army truck and sell that, but I think we're going to keep that around the farm, and we wanted to leave tools in it. We're going to leave the torches on the Army truck. However, we're going to take the gas drive welder off of it and put it on this back left corner of this service body. Now, I didn't know much about this truck prior to buying it. It was kind of one of them fast buying procedures. I seen that it was going to be offered up for auction. The day before the auction is when I seen it. I didn't do too much research on it, but it's actually in better shape than I thought it was in from the pictures. However, we do have an issue with the remote for the crane, and we're trying to get that resolved here now. We can use it with the manual controls, but we can't use it with the actual remote that come with the crane. We sent the remote off to Auto Crane, and they should receive that here today. Today is Monday, August 12th. It's sprinkling a little bit. We do have hay down to do, but we can't chop any hay. It's been raining on and off here, so I figured I would screw around with this here for a little bit This has got a hydraulic driven air compressor on it, and there's a hydraulic pump on the transmission that runs both the crane and the air compressor. The air compressor is a 40 CFM hydraulically driven compressor. We need the remote for the crane to work, because the remote for the crane turns on the air compressor, so you can go from the air compressor to the crane, either or hydraulic function. Now this is a Hino 338. This truck is made by Toyota. It's got 172,000 miles on it, and it has like about 8,000 to 8,400 and some odd engine hours. This has a Allison RDS 2500 automatic transmission in it. It's a 6-speed transmission. You've got the PTO switch right there. You turn the PTO on to activate the hydraulic pump, and then you can use either the crane or the air compressor. This came from Thompson Machinery. They had about 10 of these that went through auction. Thompson Machinery in Tennessee. It's a large Caterpillar dealership, and this was one of their many service trucks. It's a 2016. It's got a six-cylinder diesel engine in it. 7.6 is the displacement. It's about 260 horsepower. We're just going through now, loading up some tools. I've got some stuff in it. We've just got to get more stuff loaded into it. A lot of the stuff I bought from Harbor Freight. Sockets, ratchets, what have you. I did get these socket organizers from Amazon. Harbor Freight sells them as well. This is a Work Pro something or other. And they are magnetic. That's stuck to the floor of this drawer, and then I need two hands to get this off of there, but the sockets are magnetically held into place as well, so they shouldn't jump out on us. So we do have to get the welder off the Army truck. Like I was saying, there's more drawers in this compartment, and then these are the only two compartments that have drawers in them. This one here has a shelf in it. I've got to get that shelf where I want it. It's got to put it down in its place. This little area here is for wheel chocks. They're of course not on there. This back left compartment has shelves in it as well. I think we're going to pull all them out and put the welder leads in this compartment, and then we'll have to punk a hole through the back so that we can run the leads out into the welder itself. We'll get this goofy bracket off of there that they have on there. Nice vise on the back end here. I got a nice little work table off of the back bumper. We do have to fix the safety chain holder. We'll have to weld that into place. It's just a 2-inch receiver. It's nothing more than what a 1-ton pickup would have on it. We might as well go ahead and pull our cover back. It's starting to rain here now. So it does have a cover on the back end of it here, which I did not realize it had. That of course is locked there now. Now it's just got this flap, and it is starting to rain, so we'll have to come back at you when it stops raining here. Alright, that was a short-lived quick shower that has gone through. As you can see, we've got this back end cover pulled back. That'll be handy for covering up pails of oil or something. There's just stuff that you don't want to get wet in the back of the truck here. It does have a way to roll this tarp up and zip tie it back to itself. But what I would like to put is some kind of a hoop in here so that we can pull it down tight over the back end here. It's got outriggers on there, obviously, for the crane. The left side is rigid, the right side will slide out, so that it gives this unit some stability off of the right hand side. Air hose reel that is inside this cabinet on this back right corner. There's not much room in this cabinet here for anything but that air hose reel. I suppose if we maybe move this hose around, we could maybe shove some tire tools in this compartment as well, but this compartment for the most part is tied up with that reel. This cabinet here, camera kicked off. So this cabinet here is just like the one on the other side, same thing. It's got one shelf in it, wheel chock holder on this side, and this compartment here does not have the individual drawers in it like the other one that's on that side, but at least it has the shelves in it. Be pretty handy. And then this compartment here, this front right one, this is where we're going to put the torch tanks. We'll just set them in there. We'll be able to use the ratchet style ratchet straps that tee into this track stuff, and either we're going to put a torch reel in here or we're just going to hang the hoses. I haven't figured out what I want to do just yet with that. So we'll go ahead and get our tools put into this. I bought a shopping cart full of tools here yesterday, and another one here today while we're waiting for the weather to straighten itself out here. So I've got some stuff in here, not a lot, but we're just kind of organizing things as far as getting sockets placed, wrenches, what have you. I haven't really figured out my exact drawer configuration, but these are all Harbor Freight sockets, the colored sockets. I wanted deep ones, shallow ones, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, 3/8, 1/2 inch drive, just regular Pittsburgh wrenches, 3/8 to 1.25 inch, and the metrics, I think they go from 10 to 32. There is some wrenches missing that I've ordered. There was an 11mm wrench missing in this set, and a 16. 11 is the same as 7/16, and 16 is the same as 5/8. We've got some ratchet wrenches. These here are the Icon ones. And the reason why I like these is they have the little lever on them to either turn it from tighten to loosen. Now, there's other ratchet wrenches that don't have this lever on there, and if you're tightening something up that has a, say it's a long stud, and you're tightening it up and you start to lose the length of the stud, you can get those style wrenches caught on there because you can't reverse the direction of it unless you take it off and flip it over and put it back on. So I like these style ratchet wrenches that have the lever. Got a snap ring, plier set, just a few pliers I've got to add to that, and then we've got screwdrivers and adjustable wrenches up in this drawer, and we'll go ahead and add to that as well. I'd like to have something on board that has an assortment of hardware, and I think that's what we might be able to use these drawers for. Maybe we can utilize that with you know, putting little assortment things in here for nuts and bolts. We've got just nut drivers in that one. we can move those over into the side compartment. Thought I had one more with something in it, but I don't see where we do. So we'll go ahead and get some more tools thrown in here. I've got a pile of stuff in here from what I grabbed here a little earlier today. Some of the stuff is just the Pittsburgh cheap stuff, cheap screwdrivers, but we've got some Icon goodies there. Yesterday when I was there, I ended up buying just cheap ratchets. I wanted two of each size, you know, 2 1/2 inch, two 3/8, 2 1/4 inch. These are all the cheap ones. Now, I didn't buy the Icon ones yesterday because they weren't on sale. However, today they were on sale. They were 40% off, so we ended up picking them up, and we'll add that to the mix there. It's nice to have more than one ratchet because you might end up breaking one. So we'll go ahead and get things loaded in here. Well, we are now back on the service truck project, if you will. When we left off with you last time, we were just kind of getting it loaded with tools, and we've got it maybe halfway to the point where we want it right here, right now. We have several things organized. I lack a few more sockets that I had to order. This is the chrome socket bin there. Impact sockets here, but most of this stuff I bought all from Harbor Freight. We've got some Icon stuff, we've got some Pittsburgh stuff, so on and so forth. So we've got some things organized, like I was saying. We've got little cheap fasteners and connectors and clamps, snap rings, and O-ring kits and what have you. Tap and die set. We've got a 3/4 inch drive socket set, 1 inch drive sockets for removing truck wheels. I think I've got an extractor kit in here somewhere. Small torque wrench, odds and ends tools here. What we have left to do, we've got to get the welder on here, and I did send out the remote. I can't remember if I talked about that in the last clip of this project or not, but this has a cordless remote to it. This remote, or the cordless system, does not work for the remote. I sent this remote to Auto Crane. They tested the remote and said the remote is good. I got it back. I said, well, let's get into this a little further, make sure we're not doing something wrong as far as syncing the remote to the crane. We have talked to the company that has built this body, which is Adkins in North or South Carolina. We talked to Auto Crane, which is part of Ramsey Winch, and as far as we could tell, we are doing everything that we are supposed to be able to do to get that to sync. So they're thinking now that it needs a receiver, which is this part here. However, Auto Crane cannot sell to the end user. We have to go through a dealer of some kind. So I talked to Adkins again, told them my situation, and they said, well, hold on a minute. There is what's called a address link, or a, oh, what the heck did they call it? Alarm tag. Something or other that plugs into, there's a wire plug right up in there. It plugs into the unit, and that will link your controller to the receiver. We're going to try that. So they're supposed to send me an alarm tag, and I'm going to have them send me a receiver as well. so that we could try to get this to work. It works off of the manual controls. We've turned the PTO on in the truck. The PTO supplies the hydraulic fluid to come back and pressurize this system. In order to get the compressor to run, you have to switch that to auxiliary from the remote, which we cannot do that, to run the hydraulic driven air compressor. The hydraulics for the outriggers work off of these controls on the back. All these controls on the back do is run the outriggers, so we can go from crane to outrigger. That's all we can do here with this switch, or this lever rather. That works. We can run, like I said, we can run the crane off of these little hand controls, but they are finicky and kind of a pain in the butt to run it. If once you turn the crane you know, over into that position, you're back, you're right here with it. This valve here turns the hydraulic function from remote control to manual control. So you'd have to push this up, turn it to get it to go to manual control. Like I said, the manual control part of this crane works. We're going to set torch tanks up in this front right compartment. We're just going to set them in there. I've got a piece of rubber cut that I'm going to put in the floor of the compartment. This will fit right in there. And then we can set the tanks in, hook up the regulators, strap them into place. So that'll set in there just like so. And then we've got regular ratchet straps that will go in this E-track or T-track, whatever you want to call it. Then for now, we're just going to hang the torch hoses from those hooks. Just wrap them up, hang them from there. I've got to put the welder on the back. I'm going to take the welder off of our other service truck. I've got to get this little contraption off of here that they wrap their leads up onto. We'll get that off and get our welder setting into place, and we're also going to take this water cooler off of there. There's a bracket that's bolted down to this bolt plate. We'll get that off. Leave our fire extinguisher there, and we'll get after it here. So it's a little disappointing that the remote doesn't work. I did reach out to Ritchie Brothers, and by the sounds of it, they're going to maybe help us out with this, whatever it ends up being. So we just have to go through the particular steps with it. So we'll go ahead and get our torch tanks installed in here. I've got a 110 bottle, and I don't know what this one is, maybe a 145. I don't know how many cubic feet this one is, but we don't need a huge torch tank system to have in the truck. A 300 cubic foot bottle will fit in here. They're about 6 foot tall. However, it's going to put us way up into the top of this compartment. So the small tanks will work fine. Eventually, maybe I'll get some kind of a hose retractable system, but anything that we mount in here is going to have to mount like right here to make it inside this door. So if it's this wide, it's going to be harder to get the torch tanks in and out. So I think the best thing to do is just wrap our torch hoses up on them hooks. Now another thing that I thought about doing as well, as far as the welder goes, we're going to kill this compartment right here if we put our welder leads in this compartment. We're going to have to take the shelves all out to put the welder leads in, or at least 2 shelves. Maybe we can keep this one. I haven't yet decided what I'm going to do there. If I put the welder leads in this compartment, they're going to hang from hooks. I'll have to cut a hole in here and run the leads through this hole and try to get it somewhat sealed up. The only thing I worry about is water getting back in these compartments. So we've got to think about that one. If we take the welder leads and plug them into the welder and take them off, we're going to have to store them in this compartment, and that could be a pain in the ass as well, as far as rolling up leads and taking them back and forth. It's just easier if they're already set up in a compartment and you wrap them up on a set of hooks, unwrap what you need, go to your work that you're going to do, and then pull them back into the compartment. This compartment is more or less killed with the hose reel that's in here. I would like to do something with this pressure hose here, maybe get it to come into this unit a little straighter, and then that would give us more access to maybe put some tire tools in here, a tire hammer and some tire bars, and that would take up that compartment. And then maybe some odds and ends on this shelf that goes in with the frame of the crane. This compartment here, I've got a couple of plastic little divider totes with some odds and ends hardware in them. We've got some metric bolts and some standard bolts, some slings for the crane. I've got to get some clevises put in here, and some lengths of chain, and then of course we'll get some blocking and what have you put in here as well. The tarp system, that is pushed all the way forward. That will work out nice. We'll be able to have 5-gallon pails of oil and what have you up in that compartment. There's about 2.5 feet maybe up in front of that drop down piece of canvas there, where that stuff will be covered all the time, even with the cover pushed all the way forward. So we're gonna go ahead and get these torch tanks installed. I've got 50 foot of hose. I think we'll go with 50 foot for now. We could add another 50 to that and just have it on the truck. Again, this stuff doesn't get used a lot, but you need to have, if you lack one little tiny thing, you might as well, you know, if you've got to make too many trips back and forth to the shop, then that creates somewhat of a problem. We don't have nothing in this compartment. So there's a lot of usable space still left on the truck. We weighed it prior to putting anything in it. It weighed 20,500 pounds. And then we'll have to, as we get more stuff into it, we'll have to weigh it when we get the welder on, the torches in there, and so on and so forth. I don't know if I showed you guys this cabinet here that's in the rear bumper assembly. That is all of, it's got to be a 12-inch. Yep, 12 by 12. No, 12 by 13 and a half. And it's got to be all of 8 foot wide. That'll be good for maybe putting some odds and ends, lengths of steel, you know, some channel iron, some bar stock, flat stock, pry bars. Maybe we put blocks of wood in there for blocking or whatever, keep them from getting wet, and bottle jacks and what have you. We've got a slew of air operated bottle jacks, 246. Maybe I could take 2 from the shop and put on the truck so that we have them. Most of the time you only need 1, but if you're out somewhere and 1 fails, at least you'll have a second one. Retractable air hose, I think I showed you guys that a while ago, but that just, yeah. So we'll get the torch tanks in here. We jaw jacked enough here and get this fitted up a little more, and we'll go from there. Okay, so this is what this compartment looks like with the torches. We've got a 50-foot lead cord in here. We just have the torch hoses hung up on these hooks. That's going to work fine. It's 50 foot of hose. And then we're holding the tanks in with 2 ratchet straps. Originally I was going to have a separate set of straps for each tank, but the trouble is the ratcheting part is too long to be able to do that. So you need to more or less strap them both in together, and they are real nice and secure. We've done the same thing on the other service truck that has a set of torches in it. All that's holding it is ratchet straps. The prior service truck to that, I think we had a bracket that went on there that had a threaded rod that came out through it, and you tightened the bracket down, and we had that strap too. But with running different size torch tanks, this is the size that we would mainly have in this truck. Again, we could put the big 300 cubic foot one. You'd have to put the safety cap on the cylinder before you rolled it into the truck, and it'd be way up here. So we've got a couple other things that we need to get involved in, so we're going to have to come back to this project here later on. But Sarge is doing a service to this backhoe, which I think we've only had this long enough to do like 2 services to it since we've had it. Jared's getting his engine. We kind of show this in different videos because there's different times that you can work on it, different times that you can't. But in one of the previous videos, he had put the injection pump on, got his front structure on there, he's got the bell housing on. Now he is getting the overhead somewhat adjusted. He'll run it a while, readjust it again, and go accordingly. He has to get a flywheel for it yet. And what other goodies do you lack? You gotta get a turbo for it, right? Yeah. Yeah. So, anything special with it? No. Just an ordinary 3406B, right? Yeah. All right, so we're going to get on with the rest of things here. So we'll join back up with you guys on the service truck project here in a little bit.